Hey, welcome everyone back into Crypto's News Live. Now in 4K again. Hey guys, I apologize if I look like my eyes are swollen. I've been in tears or the verge of tears most of the day. My family dog, the dog that I grew up with, has passed away at the age of 17. He was a good guy. He fought hard. He was tough to the end, and honestly, he inspires me watching him get into old age and seeing him kind of push through all the pain as he lost vision, lost hearing, developed a tumor that eventually took his life that was coming out of his head. But he was truly an inspiration to me there since I was in high school, and now I have to look forward to a world without him, kind of like losing a brother in a way. So so shout outs to Sparky up there in heaven. But I wanted to go ahead and give us all a tour to move forward here of what's going on in crypto today, the 2nd of January, 2025. And I'll tell you guys right now, there's a lot going on. So I'm excited to share this video with y'all. And without further ado, let's start off with the market and taking a look at what's going on. So here's CoinGecko. We are up 1.1% overall market caps for all cryptos, sitting at $3.556 trillion. Gas prices for Ethereum are down, so they're 7.724 Gwei. We have Bitcoin up 1.7% over the last 24 hours. It's been a really nice start into the new year, and I expect that this is going to continue, actually. Ethereum is at $3,450, up 1.6%, so basically tracking what's going on with Bitcoin. XRP is actually down just now, 0.5%. That was one of the big winners yesterday, but it's tapered off for the most part today. And Lumen, surprisingly, I know we looked at that one, and that one had shot up quite a bit, is now down 1.5%. While I was preparing this video, it was still positive on the day, but it doesn't look like major losses for anybody who might have bought that a little bit late. And nothing too crazy and notable here unless you scroll down and you reach, where is it? A16Z? It's right up here. Yeah, it's here on the first page. It was quite surprising to me to see that it had climbed as high as it had. Now I can't even find it here. There it is, right? Nope, that's not the one. Let's go ahead and... Oh, not that. Yeah, here it is. A16Z. It is on that. It's number 58 on that list. So let's go back here. Yep, there it is. A16Z. And I was like, holy cow. It's up 187.7% over the last 7 days. I try to look for outliers when I'm looking at this chart. I try to see what stands out, up, down, or changing relatively over various days. And this one kind of stood out to me because I've never heard of this. And my first thought was, is this related to the hedge fund A16Z that invests heavily in crypto? But I mean, the answer is quite obvious when you see this girl right here with the shirt. It looks like an anime girl. I can't even tell what this is. But it sparked my curiosity enough to go try to see what the heck this token is. What are people pumping right now? I like the total supply, also the same as a circulating supply, all out there. So that's always nice to see, but a crazy market cap for something that looks like it just came out October 27th, pumped sky high. So if you were somehow early to that one, props to you. And it is on the Solana chain. So it's on Solana. And what exactly is this? It is, as it says here, the first venture capital DAO led by AI agents. So if we look more into this project, as they say here, they're actually not affiliated with the real A16Z. So if you were hoping for credibility in that regard, it's not the case. But still, let's see what's going on here. It basically has what they're calling an AI agent. So agents are the new thing that's going to be coming. Actually, you're probably going to hear about it a lot more if you haven't dived into it much. And it's going to be happening a lot through 2025, 2026. It's AI that can do stuff, right? So it's not just generating words, it's not just generating images, it's kind of autonomous, you could say. And I imagine that Windows and Microsoft will be incorporating more of this kind of functionality. For example, you could just tell it to write a program and it'll do that, or you plug it into your various accounts and it can do stuff by itself without prompting, maybe just like an initial prompt, right? So this is talking about, well, what I'm talking about here is this AI agent that they're claiming is going to be behind this A16Z crypto that pumped like crazy. So it's going to be led by this agent called P-Merca. It leverages A16Z's assets under management to execute precise trade strategies. And the decisions are also influenced by alpha from partners. And there's a marketplace of trust. Actually, I thought this was kind of interesting, these two sections here. P-Merca assigns trust scores to everyone he interacts with, enabling him to curate an order book of the most reliable alpha from every conversation. Okay. Then data flywheel. Every interaction that P-Merca has, whether in Telegram alpha chats or on his X account, feeds into a powerful data flywheel, continuously enhancing his alpha. Now, I know you guys are probably thinking flywheel is a dirty word, and generally when you hear that in crypto, you run away. But they're talking about data flywheels here, not like pumping scheme flywheels like we've seen happen before. So still, I was somewhat interested in this. So if you look down here, it actually explains more, and this actually kind of got me less interested in the project. So the decentralized autonomous organization token holders above a certain threshold get access to interact with P-Merca, pitch ideas, and try to influence his investing decisions. P-Merca decides how much to trust people's investment advice based on a marketplace of trust. So you have to be a token holder in order to be feeding data into this AI agent that will be influence to buy different things. At first I thought, okay, he's going to have a Twitter account. Maybe it'll just be like self-learning somehow from scanning all of Twitter and Discord and what other accounts exist for P-Merca, but that is not the case. It looks like only token holders in the DAO really get the ability to influence this agent. So this immediately kind of makes me less interested. It doesn't seem as universal to influence the decisions, and it actually seems like a way for pumping certain things to happen. And when you have individuals who might have outsized influence, they could kind of move the project's money, the reserve asset, the assets under management, into certain tokens. Iffy as far as how that could be set up, I think. But I do find this quite fascinating, though. I think the idea of AI agents trading, yeah, I think it's super cool to explore that. AI and autonomous trading is not new. That has existed as far back as I can recall. But agents that might be a little bit smarter, maybe using reasoning skills coming up, like we're seeing with OpenAI's recent model O1, I think that would be fascinating. So I think this could be something, the reason I bring all of this up, right, because we see that it is pumping like crazy, right? Again, it's number 58 here. It's up 187.7% over the last 7 days and been pumping basically since its inception in early October. I think this is just a signal of what could be the next hype for crypto, because we got, again, ICOs and we got NFTs. So I think these AI cryptos, this is something that's been talked about, or AI agents, even further reading into this. Seeing this token here is just, I think, giving us a sign of what could lead to some new euphoria, right? Just like we saw with DeFi as well. So we'll keep an eye on this. This project in particular, I don't know it'll be the one. I'm not going to just crap on it, of course, but I think it just gives us a sign of things to come, primarily. So, yeah, go ahead and forward with the news. Welcome, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in here. Hey, love you too, Rabbit Whale. What's going on, BitWarrior64? Thank you so much for being a YouTube sponsor, BitWarrior. I was looking at what sponsors left I have remaining there on YouTube, and you were one of them. And I just wanted to give you a very special shout out for that, man. Thanks so much for that. My dog has 18 years now, and a small schnauzer. Dang, 18 years, dude, will kill me when he goes too. Yeah, it's going to take a while for that one, but for me to move on from this, if I ever do, yeah, my dog will definitely have a super special place in my heart. But We must continue for sure. Yeah, if y'all saw yesterday and you were hanging out on X or Twitter, Elon Musk had changed, well, actually, he did it on New Year's Eve, his profile name to Kekius Maximus, which was also the name of a meme coin that came out on December 14th. And it looks like it might be the name of his character in a very popular Diablo-like clone that has come out, if you guys remember the game Diablo, which is called Path of Exile 2. It's still early access, but it has gotten a lot of support from Diablo fans who have been disappointed with that game. And as we know, Elon Musk is a hardcore Diablo fan. Looks like he moved on to Path of Exile. Maybe that was the name of his character. Kekius would be like a nod toward Kek, like Pepe the Frog. Kek. It's just part of that meme, which is crypto native. And Maximus from this Gladiator movie. So he changed his name to this. I don't know if it was on purpose or not knowing about this meme coin, but this meme coin pumped all the way 30x market cap from around $12 million market cap to $380 million at its peak. Jumped from 1 cent in the token to 39 cents when he had changed his name to that. It led to all sorts of situations, which I also found fascinating watching this, which was like, I had read one dude who straight up just bought the domain. He bought the Kekius Maximus domain, right? Because if suddenly Elon then wants to buy that domain, just like he bought X, the X.com domain for huge amounts of money, then that is your lottery ticket right there. I actually thought it was pretty insightful of him to even think to do that, right? Because Kekius Maximus probably did not cost that much, but I digress. Anyway, it looks like he has now reverted his name, Elon Musk, back to Elon Musk on Twitter, which has caused kind of a rug pull in this token, you could call it. Although there were some winners, like it says here, one trader turned $66 into $3 million on paper, right? But one actually did realize profit, $2.3 million in profit. So a lot of money to be made with this speculative frenzy and a lot of money to be lost. For every winner, there was a loser, right? Or multiple losers, however that played out. But of note, did Elon Musk have some of this token? Was he aware this token existed? I don't know, but it does suck for the people who lost money in this particular situation. Anyway, yesterday we talked about Do Kwon, who was extradited to United States following his accusations of all sorts of crimes, from money laundering charges, commodities fraud, wire fraud, securities fraud. I mean, you name it. Because of the collapse of the Terra Luna ecosystem, he has appeared before a U.S. magistrate and pled not guilty. So that's the latest in that saga, and I will move forward from here. It looks like there's a status conference, according to Cointelegraph, that's set for January 8th, so 6 more days, for the defense and the prosecution to come together, share evidence, and discuss motions leading into the trial. We'll follow up on that, I assume, after January 8th. I do believe you are innocent until proven guilty. I'm a citizen of the United States, and I do firmly believe in that one, whether it rings true in every case or not. In this particular case, I have my opinions, but you guys let me know in the comments if you have any of your own. Man convicted in Tampa in Undead Apes blockchain case dies by suicide, family says. Berman Jerry Nowlin committed suicide. It appears, according to his family, when he was found dead 2 weeks ago, he was part of a blockchain scheme, fraud scheme, whatever, related to NFTs. He was working with this other individual who, Devin Roden, senior airman at MacDill Air Force Base, was one of Nowlin's childhood friends, and together they did a massive cryptocurrency scheme that cost investors $135,000. Really not that much when we're looking at like Do Kwon and went on with that and all sorts of other situations, but still it could be sizable to individual investors who might have gotten into this particular NFT project. It was Undead Apes and Undead Lady Apes series of non-fungible token collections. They actually look pretty cool, if you guys can check this out. In the spring of 2022, these two guys went ahead and created this. According to his family, the gentleman who committed suicide, Mr. Nowlin, was autistic. He was someone who just played online video games, taught himself how to code, and he really was not aware as to the extent of this scheme, supposedly. He just went along with his buddy. He was just an unwitting accomplice who assisted in coding and technical aspects of creating the blockchain tokens at the center of this case. He was found guilty, however, of perpetuating this, and I guess that might, of course, have led to his suicide. He was someone who wanted to go on and work in computers, but it wasn't the lengthy criminal or the prison sentence that was disturbing him, but rather that conviction, right? I think there's something deeply wrong when someone is convicted and can't get a job afterwards. Of course, I think with crypto, oftentimes, especially if you're into like coding and technical aspects, you could probably make your own job, hopefully one better for humanity. But unfortunately, he did take his life. And I just wanted to give a shout out to this case. It was basically the case that they were going to do a third collection called the Undead Tombstone. And the Undead Lady Apes pumped a lot as it was anticipation of this new collection and growing collections, and that just never came to fruition. They kind of vanished. These two individuals created this project, and that's the supposed rug pull. This is really not the worst case I've seen of a rug pulling, but definitely ended, at least this piece of it, in tragedy. Just wanted to share that story. It's pretty heart-wrenching if you get into the details. It's here on TampaBay.com if you want to check that out for yourself. Tomorrow is the anniversary of Bitcoin. Bitcoin, which came out on January 3rd, 2009. I'm so sorry about that. There was the article that had come out in the Times on January 3rd, 2009. Chancellor on the brink of second bailout for banks was right on the front of this newspaper, the Times, and was also put into the Coinbase block, the Genesis block of Bitcoin. Sorry again, I'm just kind of been in my head so much because of what's going on here with Sparky, but I do want to commemorate this notable event. We'll be covering it tomorrow. I'm sure you're going to be hearing all about it. It looks like this was actually interesting. I'll share this part. Although the average time between blocks is 10 minutes, the timestamp of the next block is a full 6 days after that Genesis block on January 3rd. One interpretation is that Satoshi was working on Bitcoin for some time beforehand, and the Times front page, seeing that headline, prompted him to release it to the public. He then mined the Genesis block with a timestamp in the past to match the headline. It's also possible that since the block's hash is so low, he may have spent 6 days mining it with the same timestamp before proceeding to block 1. The prenet hypothesis suggests that the Genesis block was solved on January 3rd, but the software was tested by Satoshi Nakamoto using that Genesis block until January 9th, when all the test blocks were deleted and the Genesis block was reused for the main network. And of note, right, I think props to people who believe Craig Wright is still Satoshi. It's suggested by looking at what's going on here with that Coinbase that Satoshi Nakamoto may have lived in the United Kingdom at the time. So, BSV. And this is huge. I think we have to take note of this kind of thing. Approximately $6.6 trillion was sent around the world last year using the Bitcoin blockchain, which continues to explode. And as I've seen discussed today in social media, nowhere in the white paper was Bitcoin price mentioned. Yeah. Although he did talk about it, and $10 million Bitcoin price, I believe it was on the forums, right? Also on the Oxford English Dictionary, you can go ahead and check out their website. You will see that they have now added Satoshi to the list of terms on that particular dictionary. Satoshi, noun, the smallest monetary unit in the Bitcoin digital payment system, equal to 100 millionth of a Bitcoin. Huge credibility here for Bitcoin. Now it's in the dictionary. 2000, well, Satoshi particularly is in the dictionary. So then they give some examples of using Satoshi in a sentence based on various sources. Like in 2012, there's talk on colored coins, which is nothing but an implementation of Ripple on top of Bitcoin using Satoshis 10 to the negative 8th power Bitcoin to represent IOUs. And in 2013, this quote from The Guardian, you don't have to spend whole Bitcoins. Each one can be split into 100 million pieces, each known as a Satoshi, and spent separately. So a Satoshi is a Bitcoin. It's just not a whole Bitcoin, but it's Bitcoin. And I think that's something that a lot of people still don't understand. So this could be helpful, these kinds of definitions. In 2015, the minimum transaction fee is currently set to 1,000 Satoshis, or 0.0001 Bitcoins. So you have more of an idea of exactly how much of a Bitcoin, what percent of a Bitcoin is a Satoshi, or a decimal place rather. And 2017, the Sawmill Cafe in East London accepts Satoshis. Do they still? Is there anyone near the Sawmill Cafe that can let me know? I'm curious about that one, but they probably do if this was one of the quotes that they put up here for that definition. So really cool to see that. Wanted to give that a shout out. What's up, Soda? And what's up, Wendell? Nice to see you, Wendell. Always sharing the love on X. Billionaire investor Ray Dalio said back in December 11th, I didn't do a video on this particular subject, but I did want to remark on it because I think it is notable. Ray Dalio, previously the chairman of Bridgewater Capital, he stepped down from that role, but still advises the Treasury, Federal Reserve, backdoor talks basically on monetary policy, global macroeconomics, and so much else. He actually is now recommending Bitcoin, which is a huge turnaround from things that he has said in the past. So he said, I want to steer. He said this actually in a speech during the Abu Dhabi Finance Week in the United Arab Emirates. He said, I want to steer away from debt assets like bonds and debt and have some hard money like gold and Bitcoin. He noted that all major economies except Germany's have seen indebtedness increase at unprecedented levels. He's also claimed that it's impossible for these countries to be able to not have a debt crisis in the years ahead that will lead to a great decline of money value. He's been a big researcher on business cycles, for example, doing a huge video on YouTube about that. I highly recommend you check out. I've mentioned it on the show before, but yeah, you can look up Ray Dalio and the business cycle, and it's quite an informative video. But this is a huge turnaround from his previous comments in February 2023. He told CNBC that he doesn't like Bitcoin. It's not going to be an effective money, he said. It's not an effective storehold of wealth, and it's not an effective medium of exchange. I don't think digital currencies will succeed in the way people hope they would, citing volatility, limited use cases, and a lack of government control. He did, however, admit to owning Bitcoin in 2021. So to me, this looks more like kind of posturing politically as well, try to get in good with the new administration, and kind of reminds me a little bit of Peter Schiff, someone who probably has, well, now we know Ray Dalio has Bitcoin, but not the case necessarily for Peter Schiff. Has he ever admitted to owning Bitcoin? Even like gifted Bitcoin? I remember trying to gift him Bitcoin and he denied me, as I mentioned. This was like some time ago at a gold conference in Vegas where I met him. I offered him 0.5 Bitcoin and he just laughed me off. And I imagine in the time period since, he's probably accepted donations in Bitcoin, even if he'll probably say that he's converting it to gold or whatever. I doubt that would be the case. Anyway, I can't wait for the big flippening from Peter Schiff, but I think he likes the clout too much to do that. So Travis Kling, I think this is very true. Crypto is walking into 2025 with a level of political support that would have been unimaginable 2 years ago. And we also have these huge major financial institutions. Here we have the CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald. So Cantor Fitzgerald is one of the 24 primary dealers that are authorized to trade U.S. government securities with the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. They've been around since 1945. More than 5,000 institutional clients, so huge here. And here you have Anthony Pompliano, in an interview asking him how much Bitcoin he has. I just wanted to show you this particular segment in that.
Percentage, I probably have, if... No, I can't say, because then people can figure out how much I have. I would say I have hundreds of millions of dollars.
Okay.
Okay. Hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars exposure to Bitcoin. And it will be billions.
I was going to say, so next year when you come back and we'll do this again and you'll be a Bitcoin billionaire and,
yeah, but you remember that model I told you. So if every time Bitcoin dips, I'm going to be the buyer. Right?
Trust me, I know why you're doing the lending.
I dip, you dip, we dip. This when we do get some sort of bubble bursting that is like on a government financial institution ETF level, which I do believe will happen at some point, you're gonna have a lot of tears from some individuals, but probably not. They'll probably make enough money and get enough other kinds of assets that they'll be all right. The game is definitely changing. We're walking into a new phase here. Without Sparky Dog, no, without with all this major support here and these headlines coming out. So yeah, wild. Let's see. And also you have VanEck, one of the ETF issuers here for Bitcoin. $90 billion VanEck says by 2050, their model predicts Bitcoin will be a reserve asset for central banks at a 2% weight, leading to a $3 million price, which would put me around, I don't know, like 60 years old. So I'm going to try to hold off till then. And then hopefully I can retire if I still have like a Bitcoin. I don't think anything is a guarantee. There's so much hacking, theft, self-loss that could happen. I certainly do hope it's the case that I get to see this $3 million Bitcoin price. And I hope you guys are around to see it as well. And the gentleman who was here as a spokesperson for VanEck did say that this is a very kind of moderate conservative estimate, because this is assuming like a 16% annual rate of return over decades, right? If you average that out, leading to a $3 million price. I think it's going to be much higher than that, actually. If we're only looking at such a low estimate and we're considering financial turbulence and more support for cryptocurrencies, I actually think we'll be quite surprised with the price by that time. And it could happen a lot earlier. Yeah, I won't play that, of course, because of copyright issues with CNBC. So we will go on. You can check that out for yourselves if you want to. Morgan's, I retweeted it there on X. I believe my link is down below for that. Morgan Stanley's E-Trade, this was also reported this week or this past week. I wanted to give a heads up to that. E-Trade was previously self-owned, and if you remember a few years ago, 2018, they were trying to offer support for cryptocurrency trading. That didn't happen, and they ended up being bought out by Morgan Stanley, which is massive. And now Morgan Stanley is reportedly, this is just like rumors, getting ready to launch cryptocurrency trading services through its new E-Trade arm amid this new, more favorable regulatory environment under this new administration. So another huge player. They're probably doing this, of course, because they see all these other financial firms that are getting involved. They don't want to miss the boat. And they're seeing more and more demand from not just retail, but those institutions and governments. It's just this is like a dream back in the day to say that governments are going to be wanting Bitcoin within any sort of like period of time that I could almost imagine. It's wild to be here talking about it with you guys, since we've just like expected it to happen at some point, but we didn't know when. And it's almost happening quicker than expected. It's like crypto has its own kind of singularity. It's not a technological singularity, but it's like a financial singularity where all leads this way. Really wild to see. Hey, does anybody remember the name of that like doomsday prepper guy who used to work for Morgan Stanley back in the day? He kind of had like longish hair, light-skinned dude. I think it was brownish hair. I can't remember the name, but I used to watch his videos. Although he was a little bit like, he was a little extra for me, a little too superfluous for my particular taste, especially near the end of when I started watching his video, stopped watching his videos. But if anybody could tell me his name, I cannot remember. I'm sure you guys know who I'm talking about. Anyway, Bitcoin, I mean, again, just something you cannot ignore. It's the elephant in the room. Bitcoin far ahead in 2024 relative to other assets you could be holding or other indexes. Cointelegraph wrote this: Bitcoin surpasses NASDAQ 100 gold and S&P 500 yearly returns with 121% in 2024. Gold did quite well this year, although it slowed down a little bit. NASDAQ was just around it, but Ethereum way above that, Bitcoin way above that. And I think that this year will be Ethereum's year. I actually feel that this would be the year. If this bull market continues, Ethereum will be the thing that drags along the rest of the market with it. So I think patience will be rewarded. That's like my opinion. You don't have to take that. You might have your own coin that you think, but I actually think that this is going to be the year. Usually you do see Bitcoin move up first and Ethereum really cement that rally and give it those rocket boosters, as I mentioned in the past. So we might be surprised if we look at this chart again next year from Ecoinometrics that was published yesterday. We discussed that. This is something being talked about a lot, right? So there was this discussion all last year about the IRS getting ready to issue out these new crypto tax reporting requirements, would change how exchanges had to offer their interfaces for users so users could separate coins from different baskets to best fulfill first in, first out reporting. And it was just going to be this huge, complicated thing, but it is now postponed. So some folks, just to not have to deal with that headache, sold before January 1st of this year in order to make things more streamlined for future reporting. So this could mean consolidating assets into like one exchange or one wallet and then moving that into like a new exchange account to make things simple and just kind of start with a clean slate. But if you did that, you kind of missed out if you did this just because of this kind of fear mongering, I would say, from the IRS. But that is now, it's been receiving all kinds of pushback from like the Blockchain Association, many crypto denizens. It just did not make sense. But the rule for the current state of play is still just so confusing. So here's cryptotaxguy.eth really trying to distill this for us. Check it out. The general rule 1 out of 7. The rule for basis tracking for fungible assets like crypto has always been that when you sell, you need to either specifically identify which lot you're selling or otherwise default to being treated as selling in the order you acquired the assets. So if, for example, you hold both high basis and low basis IBM stock with JP Morgan and decide to sell some, but not all of your IBM stock, either A, you need to specifically identify to JP Morgan which lot you're selling, usually the high basis lot, or B, otherwise JP Morgan will send you a 1099 reporting under a first in, first out FIFO method. Account by account reporting. The tax rules require that conventions described in number 1 above apply to account by account. It's not entirely clear whether that means for self-custodied crypto, but for centralized exchange custodied crypto, it means that beginning yesterday would have been, if you sell low basis ETH from Coinbase, you can't pretend it was really high basis ETH from Kraken. Then the homeless basis. The consequence of requiring account by account basis tracking is that many taxpayers who were using a universal account method, i.e. treating all their crypto as if it was held in a single account, now have homeless basis. For example, if in 2024 you sold low basis ETH out of Coinbase, but you pretended it was high basis ETH out of Kraken, you now have homeless basis, the actual basis for the Coinbase ETH you sold. 4. Transition. Revenue Procedure 2024-2028 provides safe harbor for allocating a homeless basis among your remaining cryptos. Example, your Kraken ETH, your self-custodied ETH, your remaining Coinbase ETH, after the Coinbase ETH sale described in number 5. Broadly, there are 2 options for allocating homeless basis. A, allocate to specific lots, specific unit allocation, or 2, adopt a rule set prescribing the manner by which unused basis is ordered and allocated to unsold crypto, global allocation. Specific unit allocation must be done by the earlier of 1, the first disposition of 2024, and 2, the due date, including extensions, for the taxpayer's 2024 tax return. Global allocation must be done by January 1st, 2024. Then, this is interesting, adequate ID beginning 1/1/2025 for taxpayer to be able to specifically identify sales out of a centralized exchange. The centralized exchange needs to confirm for the taxpayer that the specific ID method adequately identifies the applicable lot. The problem is many sexes haven't yet determined which they consider to be adequate identification. Example, we haven't yet received an email from Coinbase saying how to specifically ID crypto sold through Coinbase. So notice 2025-7 says that for the 2025 year, taxpayers can continue to specifically identify crypto lots sold through a centralized exchange on their own books and records, and the IRS will respect that spec ID. So like imagine getting an email from your favorite centralized exchange saying, prove that you own these wallets, give us an exact list of the accounts, like the public address of each one, and they have not been able to create the infrastructure to do that. It just was not ready, and it certainly has not been made universally clear to these platforms how to do so. Again, this is, have we talked about before, this kind of compliance stuff makes it so difficult for newer businesses to get started and further centralizes things. I don't like that. Number 6. Caveat. However, the administrative grace provided number 5 doesn't change any of the other rules. If you sold through a centralized exchange, you still need to worry about transitioning your homeless basis now. And if you fail to spec ID, at least on your own books and records, you still default to FIFO. 7, carefree option. Here's what I do. I believe this lets me specifically identify the crypto I sell without having to worry about the safe harbors discussed above. I onboard through a centralized exchange, but never sell through a centralized exchange. Instead, when the purchase clears, I transfer to self-custody. B, if I ever want to cash out, I first swap through self-custody to a stable coin, then transfer the stable coin to a centralized exchange, and then cash out through the centralized exchange. In the below linked tweet thread, I explain why self-custody crypto doesn't seem to require an account-by-account method for spec ID. Assuming I'm right, I have no homeless basis to rehome. I also don't have to worry about adequate ID with a centralized exchange because I sell only stables from a centralized exchange. So like some maybe pro tips there, I would go ahead and call the IRS and try to get clarification on this. Good luck if this would work. But maybe it'll give you some ideas for how to figure things out for yourself if that's what you do and you're here in the United States. Absolutely confusing, asinine way to try to figure these things out. I think they need a whole IRS rule book just for crypto specifically with the way things are headed. So good luck trying to figure that out, IRS. The IRS, says Ryan Sean Adams, is absolutely asinine in its interpretation of tax code with respects to crypto. They make it near impossible. Please, someone disagree with this one. And there was this whole thing. People were saying sign up for Robinhood Gold because they're giving away $8 for free in Bitcoin if you pay for the monthly Robinhood Gold thing through their platform. And it's an easy way to get Bitcoin. Turns out people decided to start reading the fine print, and it looks like you need to be subscribed to Robinhood Gold for a whole year after the reward is received in order to receive that Bitcoin, or you will get basically a chargeback. They'll take back their Bitcoin. You don't get it. I love these comments though. Robin Hood, yeah, Robin the Hood. For people that just signed up for this giveaway, it's either cancel and lose the $5 that you paid to sign up for Robinhood Gold and the $8 prize by not meeting the terms, net loss of $5, or pay $60 for the whole year of Robinhood Gold that you weren't planning on paying to keep your $8 prize, net loss of $52. Honestly, painful. Or cancel, lose the $5, leave Robinhood, and never look back, in my opinion. Although, let's face it, if Bitcoin goes up, I think that's what people are expecting over the next year who got into this, although they weren't planning on holding for a whole year. Now it's forced hodling, forced time in hands. It's actually a good thing, I would say, if you have to hold your Bitcoin for these $8 in Bitcoin that would possibly be worth a lot more. And there are folks who are happy to continue paying for Robinhood Gold, it turns out, because they're like, well, I get 1K in margin. I get 3% IRA match, which is not bad if that's what you got. So yeah, I guess it serves some users over others. But yeah, I wanted to give a heads up on that in case you missed that bit. And that's pretty much the show that I have for you guys here today. Thank you guys for joining me as always. Hey, Renee, thank you so much. But thank you for staying with me throughout the years. All you guys, Sean, Soda, Wendell, Miles, Jody. Thank you also to Marcel Pop for sharing my video on X. And I do appreciate if you guys could help me out and do that. It means a lot. We're trying to get the word out, but we're trying to do about this show to make sure you guys stay informed and up to date with what's going on in crypto today. And I'll leave you here with a quote from the venerable Elon Musk. he retweeted this and reposted it, but I actually thought it was an insightful quote of the day, which is, a lie does not like being challenged. I'm sorry, truth does not mind being questioned. A lie does not like being challenged. I actually think that's quite true. And we'll try to dig into these truths and lies here on the show. And I hope you'll continue to be here with me for years to come. And I wish you health, wealth, and many blessings. Take care, everyone. Much love, and stay cryptic.